so great to be here in Wagga, where I live. My name's Jen, and did I put that up? I did, whoops. My name's Jen, and I'm a scientist. You may be wondering what got me into this, and it's this guy. Father of modern physics, revolutionary mathematician, and bona fide ladies' man. Yep. He obviously got tired of having to fight them off. So all scientists want to emulate Einstein, mostly for his scientific contributions, but for me, it's all about the hair. Einstein made it okay to go to work without doing your hair. In fact, he made it sexy. So, I keep telling my husband how lucky he is. He knows better than Tahi. I actually just took some time off work to work on a little side project. I call it growing a eukaryotic macroorganism, but most people would call it having a baby. It's her birthday today. So like every good mother, Mummy's celebrating by leaving her at home and getting out of the house. It's okay, I'm only joking. She's only 8 months today. For her first birthday, I'm going to Hawaii. To be more specific about the actual science that I do, I am a structural biologist. You hear structural biology and you probably all pictured a skeleton. And you assume by now that we already know everything we need to know about that kind of thing. And you're not wrong. We don't really need to go around chopping up human bodies to figure out how they work. I only do that for fun in my free time. Everyone's got their own variations of self-care. Some people like to read. Some people like to have a spa bath. This is mine. As a structural biologist, I look at structures of much smaller things, like really small, like smaller than Wagga Council's budget for potholes. I look at viruses, viral proteins in particular. Do you remember the big news of 2020? Yeah, okay, the other thing. There was a lot of talk about viral proteins then. The spike protein was talked about a lot because it was used to develop a vaccine. My work relates a little bit to that in that if I know what the structure looks like, I might be able to design a drug. So, and if we can design a drug, we can stop the virus and prevent it from killing people, in theory. So in short, the protein I'm looking at is the virus's missile. And I'm hoping to design a drug that will stop this missile from homing in on its target. If I'm successful, I'll be saving lives, which makes me so much cooler than Einstein. What did the theory of relativity ever do for anyone? I apologise to the physicists in the room. I love your hair though. So I try to see how proteins interact with viral proteins. And the protein belonging to us that I look at is what's called a nuclear transporter. It transports cargo to the nucleus or control centre so that the cell can function correctly. It's kind of like an Uber giving people a lift to work, but a viral protein can interfere with this, like a hooligan hanging off a skateboard behind a car, deliberately knocking paying customers away just so it can go to the same place and set fire to it. Eventually, I'm planning to create a pole to knock the hooligan off the skateboard to let the cargo go to work. But to do that, we need to have an understanding of the structure. So my average work week is like everyone else's. I start by growing a few litres of genetically modified bacteria. My husband has asked me very nicely if I could please not do that at home. I'm a really bad cook. I don't think he would actually even notice. So after I spend a couple of days tending to this bacteria's every whim to have it grow healthy and strong and to produce the protein I need, I inundate it with chemicals and spin it around really fast until I have a smelly hot mess. Sounds like an average night out at Tilly's, huh? I put this mixture through what's essentially a giant sieve to get the pure protein I need, And from there, I spent a lot of time looking at crystals. That's not true. I actually spent a lot of time wishing I was looking at crystals. You know how if you get limescale building up on your taps if you don't clean them often enough? It's so much harder growing that when you're trying to. Sometimes you really do have to wonder if the crystals are affected by Mercury being in retrograde or if Pluto is about to transit the second house of ego. Not sure what I did there. There we go. So here's some of the wonderful little crystals I grew when Uranus was in Gemini. We grow these by hanging our bacteria juice over a well filled with supersaturated solution, which basically means that the solution is there's more dry stuff than the wet stuff can dissolve. It's exactly like a minuscule stalactite. Oh, thank God. I was so worried I wouldn't be able to say minuscule stalactite in rehearsals, especially because I came straight from Tilly's. So once I have my crystals, I can use a nifty little tool called X-ray diffraction to work out the structure of the protein grown in these crystals. The crystals are sent to the Australian synchrotron, which is basically just a fancy way of saying cool-ass laser, and then I shoot lasers at the crystals to destroy them. If this whole saving people's lives malarkey doesn't work out, I'll have experience with lasers to go down the supervillain path. I couldn't actually be a supervillain. That's so much work. And a PhD isn't. It's really the management side of things that I would struggle with. I'm alright with evil plans though. Get a little bit of black tourmaline, put it in my pasta bake. The worst it could do is improve my cooking, honestly. So when the crystals explode after we've shot lasers at them, we use an X-ray to get an electron density map. This shows us where the electrons were, which tells us where the elements were. And as you know, elements make up everything. Thank you, I didn't hear all night. But we choose to believe them in this situation. This here is an example of the kind of picture we can generate. The grey bit is a protein from a mouse, which is very, very similar to the same protein in humans. And that orange bit is part of a viral protein. Yeah, it took 2 years of my life to get this picture. It's amazing, isn't it? Mona in Hobart has been in touch, asking if I can display it. If you don't appreciate it, you know nothing about art. So this particular virus is called the Lone Star Bandavirus. And no, it didn't originate from an overpriced Rib House franchise. At least, I don't think it did. It's actually named that because it's spread by something called the Lone Star tick. Isn't she cute? Look at these little legs. She's adorable. That's not actually part of the script. I just really love this tick. It's so cute. Ironically, being bitten by this tick can also cause another disease which makes people allergic to red meat. I can pretty much guarantee that the people who founded Lone Star Rib House didn't know that. Bit cheeky if they did. Let's name our restaurant specialising in meat after a tick that can cause people to die if they eat meat. Hilarious! But also potentially a PR nightmare. So far, the Lone Star Bandavirus hasn't killed anyone. But, as we found out with our old mate COVID, just because a virus has been around for a long time not killing anyone doesn't mean it won't change suddenly. And Lone Star Bandavirus is very closely related to some other viruses that have killed people. I'm looking at them as well. Actually, I'm looking at them a little bit harder. They just haven't, I haven't been able to get the pretty pictures yet. The crystals just haven't been in alignment with Jupiter at the right time. I think. Honestly, your guess is as good as mine. So, to sum up, I try to solve structures of potentially deadly viral proteins. I spend my time growing bacteria to destroy them and harvest their insides. Then, I hang the purified entrails above a well to dry, like a microscopic Han Solo. The crystallized body is sent to a laser to be blown up, and I examined the remains like some sort of demented soothsayer to tell me what it looked like before I blew it up, so I can find out how to design a drug to stop it from working. God, it really would be simpler to chop people up. So, make sure you remember to tell me how wonderful my hair looks.